Granville Anderson is a political veteran and a well-known figure around Clarington, with a term as an MPP for Durham at Queen's Park, in addition to regional councillor basically for all of Clarington. From school board trustee to regional councillor and MPP, this mediation expert has also served this community while being the parliamentary assistant for children and youth services and education. Today's guest at Exit 425
in the main corridor of Exit 425.
Local politicians to connect with families.
What are some unique challenges?
Thanks very much, Steve, for having me.
Exit 425. It's where we live. Granville, thank you for meeting me at Exit 425.
I am honored to be here as usual, Steve. I guess this is where you get your accurate information conveyed to the community, which is good, since we don't really have a local paper anymore to disseminate information and correct information to the public. And I know that's what you do. So thank you so much for filling in the void that exists in Clarington.
Granville, we seem to have lots of new stuff available or being built right now. How is this being paid for in a world with, from what I understand, no development charges to pay for no new growth?
Actually, Steve, the province has seen fit to reverse some aspects of Bill 23. So there is some development charges flowing now, or will be flowing. It's not back to what it used to be, the usual level as it used to be. So we're doing this for a number of reasons. Nothing has ever been done here for maybe some 20 years. Nothing new if you look around. This is a growing community exponentially. We're over 100,000 people now. We didn't have a proper rec facilities, a first rate, whether it's a first rate soccer field, it's undersized. Folks want a lot more aquatics, a lot more swimming facilities being built. We have one in Curtis. There is, other than Allen Strike, which is not really geared to family, that's in Bowmanville, there's not. So we're doing that, and it's being funded by debenture and some development charges. And it will be funded by development charges down the road over time. And of course, some tax dollars as well. We have to do this because, as I alluded to, we're a growing community, and people, for me personally, keeping taxes low is number one priority for me. But you have to have a balance when you do that. It's also quality of life is important to me as well, as you know. And I like to see things built. And when you have proper recreational facilities, when you have family doctors available, when you have infrastructure, then yes, we're going to attract businesses and we're going to be competitive. And that way we can keep your taxes low by doing that and encouraging industries other than, for me, I don't just believe in having warehouses. I want to see manufacturing coming here. And if you have those amenities, people are looking to do business here. They think about their family as well as the facilities in which you're going to do business. So we have to make sure we're competitive and attract businesses here. We also have a shortage of family doctors. If a doctor is going to move here with his family, he's going to look around and see where the amenities are, where the facilities are, the quality of life. So that aspect get covered. Plus, when you do that, a lot of folks don't know. It improves your property value as well. And a lot of folks say, okay, I may pay $64 more a year, but you get a lot. There are a lot of benefits to that because as it grows, taxes get increased. And by the way, Clarington of them, all the Lakeshore municipalities, Clarington has the lowest taxes and on average by over $1,000. And you can compare that for similar facilities, similar acreage, similar size houses. Don't take my word for it. Do your research. You will see that we have one, and yes, we want to keep it low, but at the same time, we want to attract those businesses here. If you look in York region, they pay lower taxes now, but look at the infrastructure they have in place to be able to do that. So I am trying to get folks the mindset that that's what we need to do. And these things didn't get built because I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but there were councillors there who blocked this. Like the facilities we're building in Bowmanville would be a 2/3 less than what we are building now for less if it was done 4 years ago. It was blocked then, so we're doing that now. And we're doing that, and we're trying to save costs, cut costs, but also we are making sure kids have somewhere to play. We are making sure families have the infrastructure. And if you look in Curtis, you go by the Curtis complex, we are going to have a state-of-the-art outdoor skating. That's, with climate change, I know a few folks still skeptical about that, but look around over the last couple of years, I don't believe you had 5 days it was actually cold enough and the ice was frozen that you could have outdoor skating. This is refrigerated and it's good up to 15 degrees. There'll be a fire pit there. It's going to be a great facility for folks and for families so that they can enjoy the outdoors at the same time. So those are the things I fight for. Those are the things I believe in. That's my core belief. And I'll continue to make sure that that happens. And if you look around, the hospice is being built. It probably will be finished later this year, next year. I understand shovels will be in the ground for the Bowmanville Hospital. Same thing for the long care facility that's going to be built to replace Strathaven. So we're doing that. And those are projects that were in place that I, as MPP, fought for and make sure that happened. The 418 was while I was MPP. That's built. It's now, thank God, it's now free. Well, it's free in a sense, but taxpayers still, it's not really, you're not paying the toll, but you still have to pay for it because the road has to be paid for. So folks may think it's free. It's not really free, but it's just that you don't pay for it up front, but you pay for it through your taxes anyhow.
Just the daily toll when you're driving is a discouragement for certain things. And I know Whitby and Clarington were asking for the tolls to be removed off those highways.
Yes.
To encourage development up and down that route. So it seems to be working.
And rightly so, Steve, you could look at it. Durham is the only place in Ontario that tolls are paid. It's not out of Durham region. Well, I guess the 407 extend beyond Durham region, but we are the only ones that really pay tolls.
And quite a lot of them too. When we
it's
obviously
expensive tolls. It's not like in the States where you drop a couple of dollars, but it's expensive.
Did we pay extra for the two bumps at the seams on the overpass on Highway 2 going over the 418?
Did we pay? Yeah, I guess we did.
Because those things can launch pretty big vehicles into the air.
That's right.
I had to believe that was a Friday afternoon engineering plan.
Yeah. I am aware of that. It can be bumpy. So so we're doing that, and are we doing it one at a time, or is this morphed into other aspects? I could talk about Bloor Street. I know that the congestion and the interchange and all of that stuff.
Well, so let's, it's another thing I wanted to ask you about some of the regional things that are a concern, but particularly Bloor Street between Prestonville Road and Charles is awful. I know on Facebook, one of the group members contacted the region of Durham and asked about it, and they said something's happening, something's in place.
Yes, it's going to be widened. That's going to be done, but as with everything else, to they're waiting on development charges to help pay for it. We can't put all of that on the tax.
The thing I find kind of comical is that there's a digital speed sign.
Yeah.
Says the maximum speed is 60. I don't know anyone that, with anything smaller than an SUV can go anything more than about 50 or 60 along there because the road is so bad.
Yes, it's bad. So it's going to be improved. As you know, I think it's tribute. They're developing houses going in. So, so we have to make sure the infrastructure is in place. Part of the problem there, again, it's the traffic coming the Harmony Road exit, which isn't the proper interchange. And for the life of me, I am wondering why folks just don't go the extra couple kilometers and exit at Curtis Road and take some of the pressure off that road. That would be an ideal situation if that happened, but that's not happening either. So I am wondering why that's the case.
And when is that development scheduled for the Harmony Road interchange? Because that's a massive construction project there. Do you have any timeline on when that's going to be going?
I tried to get that information before coming on so I could disseminate that to the residents, but they haven't gotten back to me yet. So I guess I'll have to save it for next time. But hopefully that's done sooner or later. But we are aware of the traffic problem on Bloor Street. That's not recent. That's only has gotten worse, but it has always been problematic. So
the natural response to people pretty soon will likely
that help is on the way. Just be patient. It's in the region's plan. Well, and I'm pushing for it to be done sooner than later.
And that will be comforting. But I think to answer your question about why people don't just carry on to Curtis Road at this point, I think people will kind of resign themselves to that being the fastest option very soon, because that whole interchange is becoming very, very difficult.
And so there's that. The Harmony Road, it's bad. We don't have a proper interchange at Bowmanville Avenue. We don't have a proper interchange at Liberty. So those are things we have to fix. And as you know, and I am going to again say this, when I was MPP, I front-loaded the money. I went to my government and had the money there to do a proper interchange at Bowmanville Avenue and the 401. A couple councillors who are no longer on council, they tabooed that as well. And that was going to be paid for, if I stand correctly, the province was willing to pony up $15 million to that. The folks that were going to do the outlet mall was actually going to put money in. When do you see private and put in money? They actually agreed to pony up money for that. And councillors, one of them reside in Curtis, voted against that. Right? So when we do things like that, it doesn't benefit the community. And I don't know if you ever travel on the 401, say around 3, 4, 5 o'clock and try to exit at Bowmanville Avenue. You have cars lining up on the highway, maybe for a kilometer or more. That's an accident waiting to happen, and hopefully that doesn't happen to anyone. So, so some of the things we do have repercussions.
So is it, we'll go with councillor hesitation. Is that the reason why basically for 15 years, not much happened in Clarington?
Yeah, well, nothing happened because we had a council that wasn't functional, and I am not afraid to say that. That's the fact. If you look around now, you see things are being built. Things that we need. It's not a waste. It's not a misuse of funds. It's things that you need to improve your community and the quality of life for our residents, and that's what it's about. First-rate parks. I don't know if you have been to Curtis South. Have you been there since? You see there's an outdoor gym now?
Yes.
There's a new basketball court. There are tennis courts. You know, so those are the things we're doing. We're putting in the infrastructure in place so people can have an enjoyable time. And I understand it's well used. People are using it, and people are very, very grateful for that. We're doing the same thing at the Curtis Complex. We're doing the new Bowmanville Recreation Complex. We did the same thing in Newcastle now. And so we're doing the things that governments are supposed to do. And at the same time, you're mindful of the tax elements. You know, you're not wasting taxpayers' money. You're trying to do it at the most economical rate you possibly can, but you're also improving quality of life. And there's, as I alluded to earlier, it will pay dividends down the road as you look at York Regions and all those other places that did the infrastructure. They have businesses coming in, you have industry coming in, and that takes some of the pressure off the average taxpayer, the family dwelling homes that pay the taxes, because you have sources of revenue coming in from other sources.
And
plus, it allows family to be able to find employment in their community and spend more quality time with their family at home. So there's a whole array of benefits for doing this.
for sure. Yeah.
And that's how I look at things.
Awesome. So in the spirit of Emin, you got one shot, because I think we've got one shot at this. Is there any chance of getting a Curtis waterfront park with more than 18 hectares talked about in the recreation
we
plan?
are working on that. That's been working, and I understand from the owner of the property and from the municipality that a deal is imminent on that. I don't know the acreage, but it's being done. And after it's done, rest assured too, I know there's controversy over what you would like to see being built there. What type of housing, whether it's skyscrapers, which I know a lot of people don't want, including yourself, I'm speaking for you now. Neither do I.
I personally just don't think, even last week I was down there and doing some recording, and, there was a solid stench of the sewage treatment plant just happened to be wafting over that day. And between that and the freight train that was rumbling by, and then the provincial park sitting there, I was just questioning, why is housing an option there? I understand the landowner needs to get some benefit from the land.
Yes, that's right. That's the trade.
But where's, now that we have our MPP is at least acting as the Minister of the Environment, Parks and Recreation, or Conservation at this point.
And I will raise that, and the community should raise that as well. But I didn't know before I got on council. I understand, you may know, that all of that land was available to the municipality. We could have bought everything, and the price was reasonable then, and we didn't. So I guess hindsight is 2020, as they say. We could have had all of that property, but the council of the day decided they didn't want to buy it. So then it went into private hands. So now we have the trade-off for the land. You have to allow some kind of development.
And that's unfortunate, because I'm all for the landowner getting value from their land, and certainly they're a valued member of this community. They're an important member of this community. But, this is a legacy parcel of land. In terms of the greater Toronto Hamilton area along Lake Ontario, this is probably one of the last substantial parcels of land that hasn't been built on. I mean, you could argue it's been developed because it's under an orchard at this point, most of it.
Yeah.
But, in terms of, unreversible development, it's not affected. And to have it right next to the provincial park, my my question is, with the ministry's lack of resistance to this, is Darlington at risk? Just asking.
Yeah, it's something you better ask of the current MPP, and his government is in power. You should maybe pose that question to him if you can
I would love to if I could ever speak with him.
Yeah. I think he's best able to answer that, but I hope not, because I believe I'm an outdoors person. I believe in that, and I think waterfronts are one of our most valuable assets.
Well,
and
and
we
it's
have a lot of it, but it's just not developed. I believe of all the Lakeshore municipality, Clarendon has the most waterfront acreage.
when we were in Florida in the spring, I saw something that Broward County had just slightly more coast and waterfront than Clarington does. And, we've got a significant chunk of it out for industry. We've got, a lot of waterfront that's, it's accessible by the public. Waterfront strategy document, they talk about 15 or 25% is actually accessible. But to have a significant waterfront park like a Sunnybrook Park or something similar to that, where you can do all kinds of different things and still end up down by this waterfront, would be pretty amazing.
It would be, Steve. It would be.
And it would accommodate the different groups of people that are moving into our community. There are some people who really value that more than people
of us do. More
than some of us do, right?
Yeah.
And all you have to do is go down to Hayden Shore Park or Lakeview Park, and you'll see families gathering and families who's maybe one or two generations from moving into Canada, whose families have lived in maybe crowded areas where they're used to finding green space and socializing together and valuing that space. And as we get a busier and busier community, just from the mental health aspect for everybody, getting access to that waterfront will be invaluable. And so that's where I have an issue, and why I'm upset that I can't even get a phone call or an appointment with anyone from Andrea Kanjan to the superintendent of the park to MPP McCarthy. It's pretty frustrating, and sadly they know or think that they've got pretty much a lock on the next election. So what are they don't have to do anything.
Yeah, I guess that's the way it is.
So that's my frustration and my rant for now, Granville. So
I hear you and I understand your frustration, and you know what, you have every reason to be quite honest.
So for something different that was established prior to the start of school this year, how's the 30-kilometer speed limit around schools working out?
You know what? It's working. Actually, I went to pick up my granddaughter yesterday, and actually she goes to Holy Family there. And so I was watching, because they had one of those speed, what you call it there, that check the speed monitors.
Right, yep.
And by and large, everybody was doing, I didn't think anybody hit 40, which was good. But I was talking to the parents while I waited, and they are very, very happy. But there are a few people that I don't know why they complain about it. If you look at it, Steve, it adds maybe a few seconds.
It's really
to your travel time. It's a few seconds.
There's such small speed zones. Yeah. You're absolutely right. It really doesn't take anything away from the efficiency of your trip.
Yeah, other than safety, it provides safety. And there are studies that, if you're a kid or if you get hit at 30 kilometers versus 50 or 60, your chance of survival is and that's only logical. You don't even need medical expertise to tell you that. It's common sense. So there are studies that show that. And Clarington was one of the few places that had 50, 60 kilometers through school zones. One of the very few.
Right.
Actually, in most residential neighborhoods now, you'll see it's 40. We still have 50 or 60 in residential neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
Not many places you see that anymore.
And I don't have a lot of reason to stop at schools, or I'm not picking children up at schools, but I think the biggest frustration for me would be not remembering that it was a 30 zone,
Yeah, yes, sometimes, yes. Even
right?
myself, that as a part of it with council, and I brought the idea, did the motion, and I'm not running away from it, and it was supported because I see that. I think it's the right thing to do.
And I agree. I think once people get used to it, it'll be terrific. And, I'm sure it's made a lot of difference already in the
And
short time that it's been in place.
I will warn people, don't be complacent and think, oh, my kids are safe now. You still have to be vigilant, you still have to be mindful. And hopefully, instead of you driving across the street with your kid to school, you'll walk now. Or they can walk because it's safe.
It's a little bit
peace of
safer,
mind
yeah.
that it's a little bit safer. So hopefully that will happen as well. I don't know if it has happened yet, but part of the idea as well is that you're going to get rid of the congestion around schools as well. So hopefully it helps in that regard.
And I don't want to sound like, back in the day, nobody walked or nobody drove, but there are so many people that are driving and parking around dismissal and start of the day times. There's just a lot of cars on the road. So I think 30 serves a lot of quality purposes in terms of safety of vehicles and safety of children and adults alike.
So by and large, you have the odd, and I said, how do you answer complaining about it? It's a couple seconds more.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Granville, October 26th heralds the 2-year warning for the next municipal election. What single thing do you want to see completed before that election?
Right now, we have a number of things on go. I want to see the rec center opened in Bowmanville. I want to see we have firm plan. I was hoping that we would start some good news on the Curtis waterfront. But I am working diligently and I'm pushing staff to reach a deal with the developer so we can get our waterfront. And that's one of the reasons why I probably will run again, because I have those things I want to accomplish. Not for me, it's for my community. I want to make sure those things are in place. I want to make sure the amenities are in place. I want to make sure we alleviate the shortages of family doctors by folks wanting to move here, want to live here. And I want this community to be vibrant. I want to see more people be able to work and play at home and spend more quality of life with their family. Because as I said, my mantra, my position is always about having the best quality of life for residents. And that's always a priority. I'm not going to say I'm going to reduce your tax, but I'm not going to misspend your tax dollars. I'm going to make sure you get value for every penny of your tax dollars. And I'm going to make sure you have that quality of life that you work hard for, you pay taxes for. You should be able to enjoy that. And those are the things that I want to continue doing over the next 2 years and possibly beyond, and shy away from that. I'm going to make sure I believe in building things. Prior to what some people may believe, I believe in making sure infrastructure is in place, making sure, and when I say infrastructure, not just the amenities, but I want to make sure the roads can, with the growing population, making sure we have, whether we are going to make sure we get more service lands here, because for businesses to come, I'm going to make sure they service, and I am at the region to service more lands, because they recoup that money anyway when somebody decides to develop it or build there. So so those are the things I am fighting for, and as I said, we have a council that we can finally work with and get things done. We are not voting against cell towers, which is a big issue. It's not so much, it's still in Curtis, but it's a big issue in Bowmanville. So I'm going
Yes.
to make sure those cell towers, I'm not going to vote against cell towers going up, and I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus for doing that. But that happened in the past, and I will make damn sure that that doesn't happen again.
Appreciate that. Granville, thank you for
And
joining me.
Oh, Steve, can I add something before you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to express my condolences to the families of the two female that got murdered in Curtis last week. It's very unfortunate. And on social media, I just want to reiterate that persons who are charged with murder do not get an immediate bail hearing. One would for less serious charges. They are required to go before a superior court judge, which takes time. The individual accused of this crime has not had a hearing, and the police assure me they will be opposing any bail whatsoever. So this person wasn't coming out on Monday. This person isn't out, and this person more than likely will not be out on bail. So I again will forewarn people, be careful of what you see on social media. Don't get your information from social media. If you want credible, accurate information, I encourage you and remind residents, this is not the place to get your information. And there are consequences to this. People will get hurt from a lot of the misinformations out there. You can go on, you can say anything you want about me, and you can say stuff, that's fine. But please don't endanger the public by spreading misinformation about that. So we all want to keep our community safe, and we're doing that. And I want to thank the police for their hard work and commitment to our community. And that's what we are fighting for. We all live here and we want it to be the best place to live. So let's work together, and please, please, please be mindful of what you see on social media. Go to the source and get correct information. I just want to put that out there.
Thank you for doing that. And that's part of the mission of Exit 425, is so that people can hear directly from our politicians and our government officials like you, so that there can't be any misinformation attributed to the middle person, right? It's if, as I have said to guests, if you want to look bad, it's going to be because of you. It's not because of me. That's not my job. And so I appreciate, Granville, you sharing.
Time, Steve, I will come on. And as I said, folks don't have a lot of places to get information from other than social. But if you want, and go to the municipal website, get your information from there. That's a good place to start.
It is. Yep.
And anyone want to reach me, I will let that out there. Please do send an email to ganderson@clarington.net, and you will be answered. If I don't, staff does monitor my email. So if I miss anything, they will follow up on that, and they always have. And I try to get to everybody that call. That's one of the things I do, and I strongly believe in. And that's one thing I take umbrage to, is when if folks say I don't respond, I do try to do that, because I serve them. I work for each and every individual. You don't have to agree with me, or I might not agree with what your email is about, but I am going to respond and try to do my best to help you in any way I can. Or if I can't, I will refer it to another, if it's a matter for another level of government or whatever. I'm going to do my best. I'm not just going to say, okay, it's not within my jurisdiction and let it go. I'm going to try and refer it to, whether it's the federal government or the provincial government. I'm going to try and make sure you get a response and an answer to your question. It might not be the answer that you want, but believe me, you'll get an answer.
That's awesome. And so thank you very much for being here today. And we'll get this out, and I'll include your contact information so that people can reach
Please
you
do. And
and make sure that they're getting their questions answered directly by you.
right. And happy to do that.
Awesome.
So again, thank you, Steve. And I will see you. We should get together sometime, I guess.
We should.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, maybe we can go to another story time. How is that?
That was a lot of fun. Just background, I went with Granville to one of his Councillor story times in the summer, and we both had a terrific time reading storybooks to the little kids. So that was fun. Awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve. Have a good day.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Exit 425. Please like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and on YouTube. Our mission is to provide substantial information and education that goes where you want, because it's where we live. Exit 425 is a production of Studio 38 Audio, copyright 2024. My name is Steve Ray. If you have any questions or would like more information about Exit 425, join our Exit 425 Facebook group, like the Facebook page, check out Instagram, Medium, LinkedIn, X, and TikTok, or email me at exit425401@gmail.com. Exit 425. It's where we live.